it's okay. It's cool.
Okay.
Hi, Innocent. How are you?
I'm good, sir. Thanks. And how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. And yourself? I'm getting used to, the Joburg weather. It's not as Joburg weather, a bit more nippier than Durban weather.
I thought you weren't in Joburg. You're in Joburg. We should have done this in person then.
Ah, yeah. I didn't. But to be honest, even in person, I don't have all the fancy tools. That's why most of my work is online. I mean, to be technical, all of my chats are done online.
Understood. The world is moving digitally now, so it's also a great thing to
Yeah.
do.
Okay. Yeah. So my first question to you is, please tell me about Hermes Art and Media journey.
Uh, well, firstly, this is Innocent, the founder
Mm-hmm.
and strategic communications manager at Hermes Art and Media. So,
Mm-hmm.
Hermes Art and Media was born from passion and personal healing, firstly. So, the journey started from a very dark place, if I would say. So, I had went through a period of mental illness, psychosis, drug addiction, and multiple suicide attempts, if I should mention that.
Mm-hmm.
So, at the lowest points, I had found myself in rehab, supported by mostly my mother and mostly women who were around me at the time. So during the recovery, I had the privilege of meeting a young psychologist who had told me everyone had a purpose in life. That was when all purpose was lost basically. So that was when art re-entered my life again, but not as a hobby this time, but it was a survival tool. So drawing at the time became therapy. It was a way of me to process everything so I could stay so I could say the things I couldn't say with my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So from there on, Hermes Art evolved, man, from just creating art for myself to offering custom portraiture and then going for exhibitions, and later branched out to tattoos as a form of healing. So over time, I saw that many people who also need safe spaces to express their
Mm-hmm.
stories, whether through visual art, body art, or even design for corporate companies. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how Hermes Art grew into a creative studio that combines art, therapy, tattoos, healing, and also digital design, but always deeply rooted in personal healings, personal storytelling, as well as just being expressive of one's emotion. Due to some things you cannot say, some things are better laid out on paper rather than just telling them outright. So we had also launched something called Hermes Arts. What's it called? Art with Purpose Fund, an Art with Purpose
Oh.
Fund where we allow portions of whatever we sell in terms of original artworks, and then we take that to contribute to the socio-economic difficulties that the country faces. So we give back to the community by donating whatever we make out of the proceedings from the original to the organizations that deal with mental health, gender-based violence, as well as counselors within the communities. So that's a brief overview of what Hermes does basically.
Okay, so who are the people that you look up to in the spaces that you are in?
So when it comes to inspiration, I draw inspiration from both artists and people who work in healing spaces.
Mm-hmm.
So artistically, I look up to the work of what's her name? Kahinda Wiley. Kahinda Wiley. He also challenges the representation in portraiture. So we also have someone called Zanele Muholi. Zanele Muholi, she gives like visibility to marginalized communities in South Africa through photography as well. She also does portraiture. But mostly I look up to people who work behind the scenes in the mental health advocacy space, such as your counselors, the social worker, as well as therapists, because they hold the space for people in pain. Almost every day they get to deal with these issues. So they inspire me to approach art as more than just an image, but as a healing tool to people. I'm also inspired by the everyday people we meet, the survivors, the mothers, the fathers, the young people who continue to fight battles in silence, the battles that no one knows about, but then people continue to judge them on their everyday living. So much of my work is a reflection of the strength of people, even when society tends to not see it sometimes. Yeah. Yeah, those are
Okay,
the two people I mostly look up to. But then
sure.
in a nutshell, it's
Uh,
every
okay. So, what have been your highlights thus far?
highlights. How would I say? So the biggest highlights as yet would have been to finally register Hermes Art and Media formally. This was last year, 2024. So we have been operating independently from 2019 without any recognition. So that was the turning point, and it's where the vision actually became real. And another highlight would be has been seeing how deeply people connect with the artworks that we sell and make, especially when maybe you see people reflected in the images that you deliver to them, whether it's through portraits that people get for their loved ones, whether it's from a client doing a tattoo and then their stories that they share with you. Those moments create a connection that really resonates, and it gives purpose to what I do as an artist. So also starting out the community exhibitions. So we've been doing community exhibitions. So being able to partner with shelters, mental health professionals, and community organizations to create these healing spaces through art has shown me that there is power in art, and it is a much easier way to get people to open up about the issues that they go through, and they cannot speak to anyone about those issues. Uh, I think yeah, those are the three highlights I can mention for this year, and it's still a long road ahead. But then for now, it's just those three highlights.
Sure. Any lowlights, if any? Any lowlights?
So, say for any business that is rooted in personal healing.
Mm-hmm.
So, the hardest part is navigating the emotional loss, the emotional pain, or the emotional burden that comes with the work that I have to carry. So some stories shared with me are very deep, very deep.
Mm.
So dealing with mental illness, sometimes gender-based violence, and sometimes violence as a whole. It doesn't have to be gender-based or anything, and even loss. It can be emotionally exhausting, not just for the person who's experiencing the art, but for me as an artist as well. And another challenge has been accessing consistent funding, and resources. You see, when you're trying to scale projects such as the art that speaks, so that's where we do the community exhibitions and workshops where we try to get people to attend and talk about mental illness, gender-based violence, as well as survival, from whatever you're going through. Many times we have to pause. We have to pause these operations while we wait for the approvals of the funding and the partnerships. Some partnerships take forever to materialize. That's another challenge that we have. So there's also this reality of trying to operate a creative business in the South African space. South African people have other problems other than listening to artists. So it's hard to balance financial sustainability while staying true to the purpose behind the work that you're trying to do.
Okay. So, what are your plans for the rest of this year and beyond?
So for the rest of the year, the focus is just solidifying the partnerships. So I want to solidify this relationship with corporate companies through their CSI programs and the nonprofit organizations also, as well as government agencies that support mental health as well as youth development. So that's one. We have actually three goals for this year. We are also preparing to launch the Arts with Purpose Fund as an official model that will allow clients to partner and funders also to contribute directly to the community support through maybe their engagements with Hermes Art. So obviously these fundings will go through supporting the NGOs as well as mental health institutions. We also plan to expand the tattoo studio, maybe getting a few more artists to come through and getting them trained on counseling and giving an ear to people, not just being a tattoo artist because you can draw and tattoo skin. So those are the goals for now. But beyond this year, I just want to develop a permanent healing art studio space in Soweto, where people can access art therapy workshop, design services, as well as art therapy all in one roof.
Okay, finally, what would be your words of inspiration for the people that are interested in being in the spaces that you are in?
I mean, firstly, I would say, your pain can also be your purpose. Sometimes the thing that nearly destroys us
Hmm.
can become the thing that allows you to build something meaningful. Secondly, I would say you don't have to wait for the perfect condition to start. I mean, for my case, it just started with paper and charcoal and a deep need to survive, but then the rest grew from that foundation. That was the second one. You just don't need everything to be where or to start heading to where you want to go. And then lastly would be to treat your gift as both an art and a business in a way. I mean, purpose can drive you, but the structure will sustain whatever you're trying to build. So we must learn to market our work, we must learn to position ourselves, we must collaborate with others with similar ideas or even those without similar ideas, but then you can find a way to collaborate and work together and understand how your art creates value for others. And lastly, I would say just stay human, stay human. The world needs more people who create, not for surviving or money, but to heal the world and pass on the messages to the upcoming generations. Believe that's why we exist as artists, just to visually capture whatever the current generation is going through and then be able to pass it on to upcoming generations.
Okay, yeah. All I gotta say that thanks so much for your time, and hopefully this is the first of many.
I couldn't get that one.
Pardon?
I couldn't get that question.
No, no. I was saying thanks so much for your chat, and hopefully this is the first of many.
No, thanks for having me, Siddharth, man. Hopefully, yes, it is gonna be the first of many. It's actually the second of many. It's actually my
Thanks,
second
man.
one. But then I get why you think it's the first one. I'm still nervous to do these things. I haven't been media trained yet. I just need
Nah,
someone to train me on that part.
no, it's great. No, man, no, man, you were great. Thanks, man.
Okay. Thanks. Not a problem. Thanks for having me, man.